Hello, Awifians. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you all, wherever you may be in the world. I hope you're well. I hope you are beginning to settle down or to wake up to a beautiful weekend. How was your week? Come share with us. Come let us know how your week was. We would love to hear from you. If this is the very first time you're watching me live, my name is Lillian Mole. I am the founder and CEO of the African Women's Economic and Entrepreneurship Forum, the place where we challenge the status quo for economic advancement of African women. Please come join me. Share this live stream out with your family and friends because someone needs to hear this conversation today. I know I keep saying that every time, but this is vital. We might be ignoring certain things in our lives that is holding us back. And today I have an amazing lady from South Africa. You really need to hear her story, get to know her so you can really question yourself if there is something that you're keeping under the carpet. So please take the time to share this live stream out with your family and friends and make sure you come back. Hello, Christine. Good morning. How are you today?
Well, the weather's looking a little bit better today. The beginning of the week was really cold.
Oh. So I'm happy things are looking better today. All the way from South Africa. So how is COVID treating you guys over there?
Well, so far the lockdown has been very strict, and there are mixed emotions because it has impacted all business. And starting next week, the 1st of June, some businesses are allowed to come back in and operate, but some others, like domestic workers and salons and hairdressers, still are not allowed to function. So we are, some of us, taking it very hard, those that cannot operate still.
Yeah. I can imagine. It's terrible. And the African community is a much more closer community. So I believe social distancing is a problem.
Very difficult, yeah.
But South Africa has good figures.
So far, it has really helped. It looks like we have been able to prepare, especially hospitals and medical care. We've all been able to really just get a grip to see how it's going to affect people and patient care and how to approach hygiene and safety in public spaces. So that has been a good chance for us to take grip of all of that stuff before the rise that other countries have seen earlier than us.
Yeah. Well done to your country. It's a good example to see that Africa is thriving. Africa is making a difference in this context. But I also think Africa has had its share. I know it's a collective pandemic, but we've had our share, and I hope this time we'll be better off because we've had so many pandemics and we are better equipped. But still, sanitary problems is still a big one in Africa. So I am crossing my fingers. I am meditating on behalf of that continent. We don't need more than this. It's enough. It's enough. But better still, I reached out to you urgently because the timing is right. I have known you for minimum 2 years, but the timing is right to talk about something that we might be keeping under the carpet, or some things that we are not even aware of, that we may have this illness. Today, we are going to be talking about how to prevent repetitive burnout through self-awareness. You are definitely the queen of this. So please, all the way from South Africa, I'll let you introduce yourself to this audience, please.
So hello to everyone who has not been on my Facebook group, on my Facebook page, or seen any of my videos. To tell you a little bit about myself, and Lillian said, I am based in South Africa, and I work with mainly Christian women to help them overcome the thing about just living day to day being like a robot, just going with the flow and letting life happen to you. You know, some of us might be stuck in the victim mindset, or, you know, life happens to us and this is just a status quo. But I want to help them realize that they can maximize the experience of life and change, you know, how they show up for themselves and others. So that is the key, that, you know, the key message that I want to give people. They have more control over their experience of life and how they show themselves and others.
I'm grateful for the words you use and how you use these words. Let's just take a few minutes because I see there is a comment. Love you, Christine. Yeah, you have a comment for you there from Mariette. So before we go any further, before I start sharing the quote that I normally share every week, I try to share a quote and we see if it resonates with the topic and with us. Why did you choose to work with Christian women? Why is that your niche?
Well, I started my training as a health coach, but as you know, the first year I did a lot of pro bono work, and it just became clearer to me that my, you know, my gift, if you want to call it that, is, you know, seeing the intersection of spirituality, physical health, mental health, and emotional health. And you have to really assess and work on every part of yourself in order to maximize how you show up and experience life. You can't ignore your spiritual side because it's such a big part of who we are. And, you know, we are spiritual beings, we are souls, after all. And you have to, you know, work on those things. Otherwise, it causes mismatch, and it causes, you know, it manifests as physical ailments a lot of the time. I'm not saying that every single time depression and burnout and all of those things are caused by spiritual problems and spiritual challenges, but it can be a huge factor of your recovery. And if you really maintain your spiritual life and growth and implement helpful routines and empowering routines and habits, then it can help you to, you know, create more balance in your life and avoid all of the things that are pulling down your energy and, you know, making you less of, you know, the powerful human being, the powerful woman that you can be in this life.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And again, I will repeat, I've known you for years, and I like the beauty in which you share your message, the ease, and how you encourage people to really show up. Right now, you're running a challenge in your Facebook group, which I follow closely, because you're teaching women how to be visible on camera and try to limit their fears. And we have amazing women coming up. We have spiritual women coming up. There is a producer. She produces online coverage of books. So I'm watching that behind the scenes and say nothing, but I'm watching. And it's amazing how you show up each day. You know, even with the baby in your hand, you're still showing up. You're encouraging others. And this is what we need to see. You know, having a baby or babies is not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. It's probably the beginning, because something, what you really wanted to have, you have it now. So how do you take your life forward? So if you permit me, just give me a few moments, because I would like to share this video out so people can see your work and know where to find you. So give me a few minutes, please. Let's see, not this one. Let's go here. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen.
Since I recently added quite a few connections to my network, I wanted to post a short little message here and tell you a bit about myself, what I do, and what I love to do most, what I'm working on right now. So I am a life coach, primarily for Christian women, and I love helping them and supporting them to go from simply surviving to truly thriving. So what this means is you might just be going through the motions day to day, simply surviving, just want to get through this damn week, and instead of just using your cool and your kids, or dropping balls, not being productive at work, just get through these next next few days. So I want to help you start to maximize how you get to show up for yourself and for others. Maximize your experience of life day to day. So many people find this overwhelming to make just small changes to their lives, because coping with what they already have on their plate might be overwhelming and giving them anxiety and stress, adding to their load. I want to make this more manageable for you. I want to help you take one step at a time, unravel things, and, take a micro view on everything, not get overwhelmed by the big picture. Maybe you think, I have this goal of transforming something for myself within the next few months, within 6 months to a year, and it seems so far away. How am I ever going to get there when I can barely get through this day? But working with a life coach like myself, you can figure out a plan for yourself, design your own roadmap, your own journey roadmap, to make it more manageable, to take micro steps and to manage your anxiety, manage your energy and your load while you're doing that, while you're changing your life. You can do it one day at a time, and that is what I'm most passionate about. I don't want women to simply exist, just making do day to day. I want you to create a life that you are happy about, that you're passionate about, living out your purpose, and not just feeling driven in your working and career or your business. Although that is incredibly important, I help women with that as well, to feel like they can be passionate about their work wherever they find themselves, or begin to transition into something that they are passionate about. I want you to also be passionate about your personal life and feel like it ties in perfectly with how you are working, how you are pursuing your career or your business. Not let them compete with each other all the time. There is a reason why compartmentalizing your life is so difficult. It's because it's not sustainable. All of parts of ourselves flow into each other. All parts of our lives influence the other parts of our lives. So you can't leave home at home. If you have problems at home, if you have stresses in a certain part of your life, that will affect your productivity, your creativity, and your focus at work. So you need to assess all the parts of your life and see where you could use some help, where could you use support, where you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and anxious. I really help people with that, taking one step at a time. It doesn't need to be extra homework. Working with a coach doesn't need to add to your load. It can actually help you manage your load, help your energy levels, protect your energy stores, especially people who are ridden with anxiety, particularly at this time. There are so many issues on your mind,
so I think we can hold it there for a moment, because there's so much information which is in that video. And when I was watching the video, I was like, oh my God, how can we put this out there? How can we really tell people that there is something happening that you might not be aware of? When we talked about this topic, I just said to myself, I'm not burnout. I don't know what burnout is. But as I meditated through this and thinking of this live stream, I was saying to myself, is there a possibility that I'm burnout without even knowing? Could that be a possibility? Then, if so, I might not be the only one. So before we continue the conversation, let's talk about this quote and see if it resonates with you. We cannot change what we are not aware of. And once we are aware, we cannot help but change. Does this resonate with you?
Yes, I must say it's really relevant to the work I have been doing and continue to, put out in this world. As you know, I do put out a lot of free resources because the first level, the first step to change is to be actually aware of your challenges and the roots of those challenges. Because oftentimes someone will come to me and say, that these are the challenges in my life, but that is actually just a symptom. These are symptoms. That is what that is on the surface, what is being seen. Often there are deeper challenges underneath that you aren't even considering. Maybe you think it's just a normal part of life. We all go through it, or this is what it means to be a mom or a wife or this type of worker. It's just I have to contend with it. It's the status quo. The pure fact that something is normal does not make it right or healthy, or if you can't change it, you shouldn't change it. Normal means the majority of people in this circumstance deals with this thing. It doesn't mean it's right at all.
Okay. I agree with you, and I'll come back again to myself. I had a very big adversity that happened almost 3 years ago, and I just roll with it, and I'm just somebody who is just in that nature. I just get along with it. Then people keep asking, "How did you do? How did you? How did you? How do you cope? How do you?" And one time, I just said to somebody, "I don't ask such questions. I just get along with it." So, in my case, could it be that there is a possibility and I just kind of ignore it? Or there are people who just get along with it and don't even feel that burnout?
Yes, I must say, sometimes there's confusion about what burnout is. And, there is what we'd call like maybe clinical burnout, where a therapist or counselor would tell you, okay, you have burnout. Or there are physical manifestations where it causes chronic conditions like adrenal fatigue and mental health issues like depression, where we think, oh, that is the label that's been put on it by my healthcare provider. So it's not burnout, it's this. But, burnout manifests in different ways for each of us. And there are different levels of burnout. So you can't, really compare your situation with someone else and say, she's been diagnosed with burnout. I don't have the same symptoms, so it's not that.
Yeah. So, fair enough. What is the definition of burnout then?
I'd say, there are different definitions and there are different types of burnout. So you can burn out in your work, spirituality, emotionally, and physically. I personally went through a level of burnout. I'm not going to say to what degree, because I'm still not certain what degree of burnout, but I know for a fact I did push myself too hard, and I for a year I did a job that I was not suited to, but I was not aware of it when I took the position, and I committed to it. I said, okay, I will do this job for the entire year. So I didn't feel comfortable saying, I can't do this anymore, I'm pushing myself too hard, I have to resign. So sometimes we put ourselves in the situation where we think we are signing up for something and it then turns out to be something completely different, or we are not suited to it, thinking about our temperament, our personality, and what we need from life.
Yeah. There's a very fine line between, the burnout itself and just being normal overwhelm. And this is what I could find online. Burnout is wisdom's best shot at trying to slow you down and get to make a step back from a path that could run you into the ground. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yes, that's a beautiful way of saying it. I think it's like little red flags, warning signs that your body and your soul is sending you and saying, you have to assess what you've been doing and assess your priorities. When we get to clinical burnout, the physical manifestation, then sometimes it's too late. Then it can take 2-3 years, maybe longer, to recover, depending on what it caused. Like, did it cause chronic inflammatory conditions? Has it caused depression? Those kind of things are much harder to come back from. That's why it's so important to self-reflect and check in with yourself regularly to see, what has been happening in my life and what symptoms can I see that are flags for me to take a step back.
Absolutely, I agree. And as we talk about this subject, it was well chosen at this moment because COVID-19 is a game changer for everybody. And it's exposing the fragility within each one of us. And women, we already have a lot to bear. We're the very first ones to cry out aloud. So I really think you are most needed during this time. But also there is this fear of, should I put a name to my overwhelm? Should I hold on because it's a situation that's happening for everyone? Help us out here. Where is that line where you just need to sit and breathe and know it's going to pass because it's for everybody? Or you take that step forward to contact a coach like you to talk about it?
I think especially professional women aren't as comfortable talking about these challenges because we are afraid that we will be judged, like we aren't able to keep up with our male counterparts or other women who maybe they don't have the same home situation, they have more help at home, or they don't have children. We don't want to be compared with them and saying, oh, see, I knew she couldn't do it because she has too much going on at home, or I didn't want to employ a woman in the first place. There's so much inequality in the workplace still. We aren't really comfortable coming forth with our challenges and saying, maybe I am not doing okay. Maybe there are things that I need support with. We want to be seen as the carer, the nurse, the teacher sometimes, the caretaker. That is so ingrained into our identity. We don't want to reach out for support, but it is incredibly important for you to be aware, firstly, of those red flags, and secondly, willing and comfortable, take that step and advocate for yourself. Say, I'm not okay. These are the signs that I see in my own life of, burnout, and this is why it's important to my support network that I reach out for help. It's not selfish to reach out for help. It's actually selfish to keep those things inside because it's about pride. Firstly, you are holding out onto your pride. I want to be seen as this kind of person. So I don't want to say I'm not doing okay, I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, which is a complete lie. So it's good for people around you who rely on you for you to reach out for help, because when you are less able to care for them because you are completely spent, then they are going to suffer.
Yeah. This conversation is double-fold. One part of it is the burnout itself, and the other part of it is self-awareness. When you know yourself, you're getting to that point, then you either say, I sit still and wait for this to pass, or I contact Christine. So how do these two elements, being your self-awareness and the burnout itself, they're interwoven, but at what point, at what junction do they connect?
Okay, well, there are two ways of thinking of this. Firstly, if you have suffered from burnout in the past and did manage to recover, you kind of have a step ahead someone who hasn't been through it before, because now you can exercise self-reflection and looking back into history and seeing what happened during that time. What can I see in my own life about, how did I feel? Physical signs, how I was able to show up, how did it affect relationships around me? So all of the signs and symptoms in your life, in your relationships, in your work, how did it manifest? So you can, in the future, when you see those signs coming up, say, oh, this is a warning sign, because when I went through it the first time or the second time or the third time, this is what happened. So I need to think about, what am I putting on me right now? What is in my load? Because these things happened the first time, and take a step back. That is now, someone who has already gone through it can look back in history and use it as a lesson. Use your previous experience as a lesson for your future self, when you have to take a step back. Looking ahead, not when you're already in it, say, oh, no, I'm burnt out. How do I go forward from this? And the second part of the coin is someone who hasn't had the burnout yet. How do you prevent, yourself going through this? You can learn from others. Maybe a mentor who has walked a journey in maybe a similar career, a similar industry, or maybe has a similar life story to yours, and learn from their experience. Use them as a mentor in your life. Or you can work with a coach like myself to build that self-awareness and see the signs when they come up in your life. Oh, this is the first sign, the second, third, or fourth. It may not be the same for every single person. So you might say, oh, my friend has burnout. This is what happened to her. It's not the same for me, so it can't be burnout. It's not the same for every single person, you know. So you need to figure out what is the load that you can carry. What is your temperament? What do you need to thrive? And when those things are missing for a time, then you need to start thinking about how it's affecting you and when to take a step back so you can prevent that burnout.
Yeah, I love your explanation. I love it. And I would really like all those of you watching live or as a replay, but if you're watching live right now, which I can see you are, please comment. Do these ideas or tips resonate with you? Have you been burnout? Could you recognize that it was a burnout, or you just rode with it? And how can you implement some of the tips that we're going to be sharing right here? So what is the definition now of self-awareness?
Self-awareness, I'd say, has different elements to it, but it's a lot about emotional intelligence, abilities and skills that you can develop. So if you feel like the things that we explained today aren't really, you're not familiar with them, maybe you're not sure whether you have a level of self-awareness, you can cultivate self-awareness. You can build it. It's emotional intelligence that you can develop with a coach like myself, or there are amazing books out there that you can use for self-growth in that area. So, you know, introspection, self-reflection, thinking about our own character, personality traits, our shortcomings, or our gifts. You know, where do we thrive? What do we need as a person to be fueled emotionally and spiritually? And those things are different for every person. You know, you might be fueled by a lot of social inputs, and your mom might be someone who is fueled by a lot of time with herself. So you can't compare your way of feeling your emotional and spiritual energy with someone who is maybe related to you or in the same situation than you. So a lot of journaling, that's a really great tool and then just testing out different things and see how it affects you. And again, journal about it and see how does it affect your energy levels, your vibe, as I call it, your it's another form of energy. And you know, how do you get into the flow of life and maintain that flow, or what feels like you're pushing against something? So yeah, there are many parts to self-awareness, but the biggest thing is introspection and having perspective. Not always looking at the big picture, but also looking at having a micro view on certain things in your life.
Yeah, great. I think it's also the knowledge of yourself and your feelings. You know, your characters and your feelings. You can tell when you're like this, woo, up, or you're down, or how you're feeling today. So yeah, it's a personal journey, and it's not comparable to any other person. You can be living with the same person in the same home, but you know, it's your life, it's your journey. So tell us a little bit more about your business and what led you to helping Christian women avoid burnout.
So I mainly work with women online through video conferencing tools. You know, there are so many that make life so easy for us. It's super easy to build a relationship and coach someone, you know, across the world in Canada or France or Spain, anywhere. So I've been really blessed to build really strong relationships with women who are like-minded to me. But yeah, a lot of the things that I've learned from my mentors, I've incorporated into my business. People who have the same outlook and the same spiritual beliefs as I do. So I've incorporated all the elements of a holistically well life in my coaching approach. I don't only look at the symptoms that are displaying in your work life, your personal life, or your physical life. You know, maybe you're struggling to put on weight, you're struggling to lose weight. those things may be affected by your spiritual habits, your work habits, how you communicate with your kids, and you might not have a clue. So I dig into everything that it may seem to you unrelated when I help people overcome their challenges. So that is why I don't believe in diets. I don't prescribe diets, even though I did have some nutritional training in my health coach training. I believe that it's not just the food we eat that influences our physical health. So much more than that, because you're not just a body, you are a soul,
Yeah.
and your mind and your soul and your spiritual side impact how you feel, how you look, all of that stuff. We are such complex beings, and we can't just address one side of ourselves when we work on a specific challenge. So, yeah, a lot of things to consider in a coaching session. That's why I recommend someone work with a coach at least 3 months, because you know the roots go everywhere. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to pick up the roots before you can kill the parasites that are like really affecting the growth of your life and how much we can thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, is 3 months enough?
Well, it really depends on the challenge, and it depends on you, how much hard work you are able to put in and committed to putting in. So it changes for every person. It varies greatly. So within the first session, I usually examine things with you and just explore your life and your history and where you want to go. And then we tackle the first month and decide from there how long the relationship will be.
Great, great. We would love to have a glimpse of your package, if that's okay with you. I've shared some of the links where they can contact you and contact us. If anybody watching this live stream is thinking of working with you, please contact us so we can then put you in contact, or you can contact her directly on. As you can see the link right here, and mention where you got to know about her. So, from the non-clinical perspective, what are some of the burnout signs?
Some burnout signs, I'd say, is if you constantly feel moody towards people who are very close to you. So if you feel like you're constantly irritated and anxious and not able to connect with your kids specifically, because children really rely on us emotionally and spiritually. So if we feel like we are always irritated, we always lack patience, we go off on them for the smallest things, we aren't able to really be intentional with them and spend quality time with them, without our thoughts racing off somewhere else, or thinking, oh, can you just go to bed? Like, I can't wait for bedtime every single day. If this happens constantly, then that's a warning sign. Or if you have developed, even something like if you've developed an allergy towards a food, but that previously didn't phase you, like didn't affect you, or you struggle to sleep, you constantly have insomnia. There are a lot of things. So anything in your life that you feel like, personality wise, physically or spiritually, you are struggling to get a grip on it, and it's you're stuck there, that could be a sign of burnout or approaching burnout.
But we all do have these symptoms, having kids all day, it's for the rest of, God knows, 20 years. You could really wish it was night and bedtime, that everybody goes to bed. So it's kind of, I agree. I see what you're trying to say, but for some people, it's really difficult to call it a burnout, which brings me to the next question, because I know your clients are internationally, they're spread everywhere, which I'm grateful for and I'm happy for you. However, I'm going to narrow this question down, and I hope no one takes it personal. In the African context, such thing as burnout does not exist. You just roll with it, you go with it. We were trained to just get with it, stop complaining. So my question now, is burnout that common among African women entrepreneurs?
I think actually, especially African women entrepreneurs, because thinking about specifically the context of women who have children, the burden of childcare still falls on the women's shoulders.
Yes.
Even if you consider the women who've moved into cities and they leave their kids with their parents,
Yeah.
still they are constantly on your mind. You have this huge pressure of you have to provide for your parents and for your children now as well. So you have double household income to try and maintain and grow with your business. So you're constantly pushing yourself and driving yourself, and then you have this huge responsibility of someone else's wellness and proving yourself. You have to prove that you are good enough. You can do this with less resources than maybe someone in a first world country where you get more bursaries, more sponsorships, more funding from the government, which is here not very common. So there are so many factors to consider, and still gender inequality. So and in some industries there is still pushback for women, because the higher intellectual careers aren't that open to allowing women, such as IT and the sciences. So there are so many things to consider where we have this huge pressure on ourselves, and we keep on driving ourselves and wanting to prove ourselves. We don't want to take a step back when we feel like we are exhausted or not taking care of ourselves. Hustle and the hustle culture, and the working 24/7 on my business, the boss babe culture. I love the term boss babe because in some ways it's empowering, but also I think we put too much on our own shoulders, because when one woman does not get it together, or she feels like she needs to take a step back, she sometimes feels like this proves that women aren't good enough, or women aren't intelligent enough, hardworking enough, whatever. This is completely untrue, because we have a mental load as well, not just what people see us doing all the time. We have a mental load to carry. And even if you think about, oh, my husband does so much when he gets home, he helps me with this and this and this. When you are at work, when you are with a client, you're still thinking about your kids. You're still thinking about the next 5 things on your task list for today. It's not like, oh, in half an hour I have to do this, now I'm thinking about it. Tonight I have to cook dinner. This morning, 6 o'clock, when I'm waking up, I'm already thinking about dinner. So the mental load is enormous. And we don't talk about that. That also can deplete your energy a lot. And not filling up your day to the brim. Something I talk about a lot is margin. And in this country, margin is like a luxury. You don't schedule rest every single day because you want to fill up your day with as much as possible.
Exactly. This it is a beautiful way of looking at it, and I agree with you as a feminist. I agree with you that yes, women carry more load on their shoulders. There are many things we think of. The entire household. We think of this. The thing I'm really a little bit angry with God is that we can't put ourselves in the men's shoes.
Yeah.
If I was to question God, this is because somehow we see the evidence that we are doing this, but we also see evidence of some men being better parents, being better spouses than the women. So as I journey down this platform called Aweave, and I talk to other men in different contexts, I also get to see the other side of some men, and I think it's an unfair thing to not to be able to put yourself, rather than just assume that we do this, we do this, we do this. There are also some men who do. However, it is true that the majority are more the women than the men. We are more exposed to, really silly things because we've given away our power. It was like that. I don't think there's anything to do with God and not God, or the creator or no creator, or Christianity or not. I just think men just think they have this advantage over women. And we women, we just agreed that we were less than them and we were supposed to be at home. Who said that? It's written nowhere. When you were born, you were just a clean slate, and you have this training from your parents or from your family. You just pick those things up. Okay, you feel you're feminine, you have this tendency to care, but I think men do as well. So I agree with you that women, we may see some of the symptoms with the women, but is it not time for us to start speaking out? Some cultures, like in Africa, doesn't really provide this platform for women to express what they feel, how they feel. When the men walk through that door, you have a service to render, and most of them do not even question, and automatically they think that they've had a worse day than you. How can we start shifting things?
I think being very, communication skills is very important in a relationship, and not feeling like you are blaming or wanting them to be the fixer. Just learning to share. So say, this is what I went through today, and this is how that made me feel. Not saying this is my problem, fix it. Because often when we come to our husbands with certain challenges, they think, oh, now I must be the fixer again. I have so much stress at work, or I have this and this to do, and I have to sort out these problems as well. That is not what we want. We want to advocate for ourselves, say, share, this is what I'm going through, this is how it's affecting me, and I might need support in this way. Not blaming them for what we are going through, even though some women sometimes may feel like it's their husband's fault that they are going through certain things, or they are a factor, they are contributing to the load or not helping with the load. That is not a place to start when you are reaching out for support from your husband or another male. Maybe it's a colleague, maybe a superior, your manager. Don't put the blame on them. Don't make them feel like they must be the fixer. Make them a part in your solution network. Say, you need a partner in support, a partner on your journey to thriving. And say, these are the things that I might need moving forward to recover from this or avoid burnout completely. And this is the way it's going to help me show up better in my home aspect or at work. So if you're talking to your manager, for example, or a business partner, it's a male, don't say, don't blame them for it. Say, this is what I'm going through right now, and I want to share this with you because it's affecting the business, or it's affecting the relationship or the work situation in this way. And if I deal with it right now and I avoid burnout, then this is how you are going to directly benefit from it, or our clients are going to benefit from my wellness going forward. And, if I learn to thrive and I learn to maintain a better balance in my life with your support, it's going to benefit you moving forward. When they feel like they are a partner on your journey, and they will be, they will take responsibility for their part in your support network.
Mm-hmm. I love that piece of advice. So from your experience and observation, what are the most common factors contributing to burnout for women especially?
I think, as I've already hinted on, putting too much pressure on ourselves and feeling like we have to prove ourselves, and not being comfortable advocating for ourselves because we don't want to be judged or thought less of, or we are less capable, or we can't provide, we can't deliver as the high percentage or the high return that our male colleagues can, or other female colleagues that have more support or a different home situation. So assumptions and putting a lot of it we put on ourselves. In the beginning, when you start advocating for yourself, there might be some pushback because it makes people uncomfortable, or they're not used to it. They see you in a certain light, and now they have to get used to you being a whole human, and you aren't superwoman. And they also have to step up to the plate a little bit more so you can step back.
Yeah.
So pushing past that discomfort and past a little bit of that, apprehension that people may have. And being strong in the situation and say, this makes you uncomfortable, it's not nice, or you have to put in a bit more effort, but I need this. And if you don't learn to advocate for yourself and cultivate that self-awareness, then everyone around you is going to suffer eventually when you're completely depleted.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. It's a long way to go, though. It's not that easy. It's a long way
Yeah,
to go. So, yeah, we'll need to have this conversation. I think you should sit on most panel because first there is a communication that comes with it. Secondly, the image that we put out for ourselves, and there's also some kind of self guilt here. Trying to show up as somebody that we really are not. And then how do you bring down this baggage? How do you start putting things down and say, this is really who I am? Because sometimes you meet people, they are very different at home and they are very different at work. And it's like, whoa, yeah, it's too deep. So it's not that easy. And it's a journey. You should we should talk about this more often. And maybe you should sit on most of our panels to talk about this because you can pick that it's not only a communication problem. It's more than that. You can really see that there was something which is coming from somewhere. We could be bringing that guilt from home into our professional lives or vice versa.
yeah,
How
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we recover from burnout and live our best lives?
Yeah, as we've mentioned, self-awareness, cultivating that, and emotional intelligence, self-reflection, learning to advocate for yourself, building that support network, not just that, utilizing it, even though it's uncomfortable in the beginning because we don't want to inconvenience people.
Yes. Yes.
Rather inconvenience them now when you can take a step back and manage it or recover than later when you are not able to do anything and they have to step into your shoes and fill your shoes completely.
And that comes with self-care, self-love, self-appreciation, which is one tip that, we should start teaching children on how to really appreciate themselves, love themselves, and stop seeking that external approval. It's not a common practice, especially in Africa. Why do you think so?
I think it really depends on the woman's home situation and her roles in life. Um, for moms, it's a little bit different to women who don't have children.
Yeah.
As a mom myself, I can talk from that experience.
Yeah.
We are the carer, we're the nurse, we're the teacher, and sometimes we feel like doing something for ourselves or prioritizing ourselves is a little bit selfish because our kids need us. They need
Yes.
so much from us, and they aren't as able to acquire resources or regulate their emotions or care for themselves as we are. So we feel like that is our role in life, and rather give to our children than take ourselves, because if we have to choose, then we'd rather choose our children. But it's also important to maintain the balance between prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your kids, because if you constantly neglect yourself, then eventually, as I said, they are going to suffer. If you become disconnected to them because you're emotionally burnt out or physically burnt out and you can't care for them at the level that they are used to or that they need, then obviously they're going to suffer. They're going to feel it. Yes, they are resilient, but they're going to hold certain assumptions, or it's going to teach them certain things about life or themselves over time. I myself, I can talk a little bit from experience. My mom was burnt out for a couple of years. She didn't have any emotional, financial support, and a single woman raising two children, it was very hard for her, and she was completely exhausted every day coming home from work, and that did cause a little bit of a disconnect in our relationship. It
Yeah.
took a lot of years for us to really bond again. It was only once I had my own children and we went through all of that together, and learning from her, she being my mentor and all of that, that brought us so much closer. Although that closeness that we might have lost during my teenage years when she was just working and not really caring for herself. So that is a lesson I've been reflecting on lately, definitely.
Great, great, great. Yeah, sometimes you have to go through it to understand yourself. And also, yes, you have to go through to understand yourself because it wasn't well explained to you. You saw the suffering and pain, but we could not really explain, and all we saw is the bitterness that came out from the pain. So we did not see it as parents struggling. We saw them struggle, to make ends meet. But why did it happen, and how did it happen, and what are they feeling is what we did not get as growing up with our parents. But I think that's a chance, although it might have destroyed the relationship or made we lost some years. That's the chance to correct those mistakes with our children. So it's an opportunity that we have to take. What steps can we start? Can we put in place in our everyday routine to avoid burnout, but also to educate the next generation that things are hard. But what steps can we put in place? Because it's an everyday task. It's
Yes.
not like you start, you stop. It's something. It's a routine.
Yeah, so what I talk about a lot is scheduling your priorities. So really think about what are my non-negotiable priorities and put that separate to priorities that are maybe nice to have, or you can maybe you can put that on someone else, have a support network to help out with that. What are the core tasks or priorities that you feel like you have to take on yourself every single day in every part of your life? So at home and at work, in your business, or if you have a career, and make sure those are scheduled and you allow enough time for those. And then the other stuff can go in around that. If you don't feel like you can give enough attention to the nice to haves or the things that you maybe can outsource, then rather delay them, schedule them out, say not right now, or advocate for yourself so that your support network can step in.
Yeah.
No, that may take some time to get used to because people maybe are so familiar with you doing certain things, and they think, oh, you do it well, or you do it at a certain time frame. But over time, do it gradually, make them get used to it, and be strong. Be the strong person now so that you can reap the benefits over the longer term. And margin, I talk about a lot. Prioritize margin for yourself. So I'm going to be creating resources to help people with that over the next few weeks, because that's a really deep topic, and some people might not understand the topic, the concept of margin. But basically, it's moments of pause, rest, reflection, to just take a step back and refuel, whatever refuel means to you. Maybe it is doing something, maybe it's doing nothing. So whatever refuels your energy stores, that is what you use margin for. And just not filling up your cup to the brim, and make sure you know what size load you can carry every day or every week, and prioritize margin moments or margin hours, or maybe it's a whole day, to take a step back and make sure that you don't completely deplete yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, and that's a really something we can implement easily without because most of the time it's that we lack the time to do all this stuff, and by the time you sit down, when everything is done for others, you do not even have the time for yourself. So a routine like that is really important for us women. And please share that with us when you're ready. And anyone watching this live stream, if you haven't joined Christine's Facebook group, the link is here in the comments. Go join that Facebook group. I really encourage you to do so. Contact her if need be, because this conversation has to continue. I have a feeling if COVID did not teach us anything, I have a feeling that right now, we are missing out on so many things because we're not connected with ourselves. And during this COVID period is the time to reflect on what are we missing. So now, as you are with us, we have this opportunity to share some time with you. What's your message to anyone watching this live stream now? Are we missing something? Why are we so disconnected with ourselves and the world?
something that I would like to share with everyone, my core message is, it does not matter who you are, how valuable you think you are, what station you have in life, or what role you fill. You deserve to care for your needs. You deserve to prioritize your own needs, whatever that looks like to you, and advocate for yourself. Just because your load does not manage someone else's, or you feel like you don't have as much stress or as many burdens, does not mean that you deserve less care and consideration than someone else. Maybe they are higher up in the company, higher up in life than you, and maybe it's a male. You compare your situation to the male situation and you think, oh, I don't deserve more rest, I don't deserve more support because I don't have the same situation as them, or don't carry the same load. It's for you to really be discerning about the load that you can carry without depleting yourself, and not just that, to actually feel fulfilled. So you need to prioritize things that fulfill you as well, not just fulfill your priorities. Actually, self fulfillment should be one of your priorities. And that is something that has been missing in a lot of people's lives. They think that, oh, from the outside, it seems like I have it made. I have everything. I have the husband, I have the kids. You know, my husband provides for me, or my business is doing well, or I have these things, so I should be happy. That is not, that is a lie. Just because things look so pretty and it looks all good from the outside, does not mean that you don't deserve more. If you feel like you need more in life, or you need more support, or you are not fulfilled, completely upending your life and changing your career, beginning a second act at 25, at 30, at 50, at 60, that is for you to decide. It's never too early, it's never too late. Just because you've spent 8 years in a career learning a skill or acquiring certain degrees, that does not have to be your life for the next 50 or 60 years. You can decide, this does not fulfill me anymore, or this burns me out, I need something different. And rather today than 10 years from now, when you've lost everything, or when you've completely disconnected from your family and you don't have those relationships anymore.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree. And this burnout is a story of us being disconnected and not making the right choices. I would like to use this opportunity on this topic to tell anyone watching today, there is time for everything. Everything has its time, or let me put it this way, it has its season. You're raising kids today, they are young, they will get older, things will change. You're having a beautiful relationship today with a new partner or a spouse. That's fine. Tomorrow is another day, it's going to change in a different form. You are a widow, you are a single parent. That's the season in which you are in. We do not have to be on the same path. So comparing ourselves to others, looking outside for validation, or trying to find the happiness outside, to me, doesn't make sense. So no matter what we're going through, remember that there are seasons and that too shall pass. It's also important. My second point is, it's also important to choose your battle. Whatever is in your plate, that's yours. Make that decision that that's yours. Trying to compare what you have, the difficulties that you have, to someone else's, it's completely irrational. Choose your battles, know your strengths, your weaknesses. And if those things are more than you just got to accept that that's your limitation. That's your limitation. We all cannot have the same strengths or weaknesses. We all cannot be the superwoman that we are. And that's how it is. So, Christine, thank you so much for talking about this topic. I'll be keeping an eye on your Facebook page. Please do come back again when we have panel discussions, because this topic is not only about burnout. It's about women's, their visibility, their strength in, talking for themselves without being aggressive about who they are and what they want. This is what we call, how do we lean in without being aggressive? How do we lean in to get what we want? There's so much on the table, but then we women we just give our power away and hope somebody will, nominate us. Somebody will point us out instead of asking for what we really want, or instead of voicing out that we are really going through difficult times and we need a break. It's not an easy situation to be in, but we have to start talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's a deep topic. There's so many things that can flow from this, so we can talk about it for the whole day and not run out of content. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this discussion today. I really think that it is relevant to what everyone's going through, and the time that's going to change. Work is going to change immensely, or it might change. People want it to change once every country has lifted their lockdowns and all people are back at work. So definitely something to now actually begins to get back to normal life.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure spending this film. It's 1 hour, and I know babies are waiting. This was probably your time. Now the day is gone. You have to spend time with them. So yeah, thank you so much. But as I said, we are going to be having more of this discussion, and don't forget that next year we were supposed to have an event this year, but with COVID, it's not happening. Next year we're going to have our WIF event summit. I hope that you'll be able to make it, because this discussion is holding many people back. And we are ashamed to say we are burnout because we think people will judge us that you're too weak, you cannot handle, you cannot. No, no, no. We have to talk about this. So let's keep an eye for all events coming up, and let's see in which panel discussion you can contribute. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for all the good work you do out there and your suggestions. And I do wish you and your family a great weekend. And please, please, do not change anything. Speak thy truth, and you are very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, so have a great day.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yes, so that was it for us today here at AWIF. I think it's time to really show up. I think it's time to have this conversation as women entrepreneurs, as African women, because this education wasn't given to us. It's our time to change this narrative. If we want to build that continent, if we want to change our lives, there are people hurting. This is no joke. There are people hurting out there. We keep things within us. We do not share because we do not have anyone we trust to have this discussion with. So please continue to comment on this conversation. I hope Christine will have time to continue come up here to share her knowledge. And you know where to find her directly. But if you do need us to get you in contact with her, we shall do that. You have all her contact details. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching live, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.